My presentation dealt with how essential it's going to be to increase agricultural productivity through technological change and to increase the freedom with which international agricultural trade functions in order to ensure future food security in the world. I started out talking about the projected demand for food in the world, with population expected to increase by 2.5 billion by the middle of the century, with a large fraction of that growth in population being in sub-Saharan Africa, which is projected to more than double its population, but also in South Asia, and to a much lesser extent in the Middle East and North Africa. But when you add to that population growth the increasing fraction of the world's population living in cities, going from the present 51 or 52% up to potentially 70% by the middle of the century, we know that this is going to significantly alter dietary patterns as people have exposure to a wider variety of potential components of the diet. And then when we add in the fact that economies of many developing countries are growing, and some are growing at a quite substantial rate, more and more hundreds of millions of people are finding themselves with the purchasing power to upgrade the quality of their diet, to include more animal protein, more fruits, more vegetables, more edible oils in the diet. So when I put all of this together, my projection is that the demand for food in the world will increase by about 67% between now and the middle of the century, with about 1/3 growth from population growth and a like increase in demand coming from the urbanization and increasing per capita incomes. So that's the challenge. Can we produce 2/3 more food, or even something close to doubling food if we add in demand for raw agricultural products as feedstocks in the bioeconomy? Can we double agricultural production in the next 35 years? And if so, what's it going to take? Well, the first thing we have to look at is the availability of farmland. And we see that there's at most 12% more land available worldwide that's not presently in production, not presently forested or subject to erosion, to desertification. And most of that additional land is in sub-Saharan Africa and South America, in regions that are not well served by infrastructure, often significantly inferior soils to the soils already in production. But the availability of land itself may not even be the biggest constraint on future food production capacity. It's probably water. Farmers use an estimated 70% of the fresh water used in the world in their irrigation. But with the rapid urbanization going on, with projected 70% of the world's population going to be living in cities, that it's almost a sure factor that cities will outbid farmers for available water. And so, whereas we may need to increase global food production by something close to a factor of 2, we may have to do it using less total water than we are today. That's going to be an immense challenge. Now, most farmers in the world pay nothing for the water they use, so there's not much incentive to use it efficiently. But that said, I don't underestimate the political difficulty of starting to charge farmers for water where there's no tradition of paying for water. But if we can somehow overcome that political difficulty, we're going to have to provide some incentive for farmers to use the water they use more efficiently. There's a huge question mark about the future of sub-Saharan Africa. Sub-Saharan Africa was self-sufficient in food at independence, but with the extremely rapid population growth that's underway, reinforced by urbanization and increasing per capita incomes, demand for food in sub-Saharan Africa is exploding. But yet agriculture has underperformed relative to its potential since most of the post-depression period. Long ago it flipped from the self-sufficiency into a net import column, but yet from the world's perspective, we really need sub-Saharan Africa to feed the African population. But another factor is also going to increase or push towards increasing the fraction of world food production that moves through trade, and that's climate change. As we see all agri-ecosystems shift, in the northern hemisphere, sliding 3 or 4 degrees latitude further north, with a significant increase in expected temperature in Canada and Siberia. We'll see expansion of the potential land area up there. On the other hand, we have places like southwestern United States, the whole Mediterranean basin, that look like they're likely to suffer significant erosion of their precipitation. With this, we're almost assuredly going to see more international trade moving product from regions of surplus to regions of deficit, particularly as we have greater volatility of climatic conditions, increasing the variability of crop yields from year to year.